There is a massive, almost invisible shift happening in the financial world right now. And according to Mr. Andy Schectman's recent analysis, the people who know the system best are making some very quiet moves. Moves that he says point to a great disconnect between what Wall Street is doing and what Main Street is being told. Welcome to Cradevia. If you want to understand the powerful forces that are really shaping our economy, you're going to want to subscribe right now. Okay, let's explore his argument. So here's the central contradiction he's pointing to. On one side, you have the insiders, the smartest money in the room, and they are dumping their stocks at record rates. But on the other side, you've got the general public, the retail investor, who is rushing into the market like never before. It's a classic setup, and we really need to understand what's driving this. So that really is the big question, isn't it? What is actually going on here? Why is the smart money heading for the exits while it seems like everyone else is buying tickets to the party? So let's first take a closer look at who's selling and just how big this retreat really is. We are not talking about small players here. We're talking Jeff Bezos, Mark Zuckerberg, Jamie Dimon. They are all selling off shares. And then you have the Oracle of Omaha himself, Warren Buffett, who is choosing to sit on nearly $500 billion in cash rather than putting it into this market. The important thing here is that these are the people with the ultimate inside track. Their actions, well, these speak a whole lot louder than any press release. And get this, as the insiders are quietly getting out, retail investors have poured in a record $50 billion since just April 8th. The contrast is, it's just staggering. This chart really puts the scale of this into perspective. Historically, retail investors, that's regular people, made up about 12% of the trading volume. Today, it's sitting at 36%. That's 3 times the average. As Andy Schectman points out, this is a dangerous signal because historically, the retail crowd is usually the last one to the party and often the one left holding the bag when the music stops. But this isn't just about timing the market. The insiders are reacting to something much, much bigger, a fundamental crack in the foundation of the system. So what is it that they see that most people don't? According to Mr. Schectman, the answer lies in America's national finances, which he describes as an unstoppable debt machine that is just running completely off the rails. To really understand the scale of this, just look at this number. Moody's recently projected that the U.S. debt to GDP ratio is going to hit 134% by 2035. Now, to put that number into perspective, we need to look at what history tells us. And that's the crucial point right there. Andy Schectman reminds us that no country ever in all of history has crossed that 130% threshold and come out okay. It has always, without fail, ended in one of 2 ways: hyperinflation, which completely destroys the currency, or an outright default on its debt. The problem is really just simple arithmetic. The U.S. government takes in about $5 trillion in taxes each year, but it spends $7 trillion. That's a $2 trillion hole every single year, and that has to be covered by issuing more debt. In Schectman's view, this is just fundamentally completely unsustainable. And on top of that annual deficit, the country also has to refinance 9 times trillion dollars of existing debt just this year. So that creates this desperate, constant need for buyers for U.S. debt. But there's a problem. The most reliable buyers are starting to walk away. We're going to get into who's leaving in just a moment, but if you're finding this analysis valuable, please take a quick second to subscribe to Cradevia so you don't miss our future updates. This brings us to the international piece of the puzzle. For decades, the U.S. has relied on other countries to buy its debt, but that era, he argues, is now coming to a close. Foreign creditors are just losing their appetite. China has been a steady seller of its U.S. Treasury holdings. Japan, one of the biggest holders, has publicly said that selling its U.S. debt is now on the table. And when that foreign demand gets weak, who has to step in and buy it? The Federal Reserve. Schectman argues this is basically debt monetization. It's a fancy way of saying printing money to buy the government's own debt, which he calls a classic sign of a country in serious financial trouble. Andy Schectman uses this powerful analogy to describe the situation. He points out that the UK, which is itself one of the world's major debtor nations, is now a top buyer of U.S. debt. He calls it 2 drunk guys holding each other up. It's just an unstable arrangement that can't possibly last forever. Okay, so let's put the pieces of his argument together. The insiders are getting out of stocks. Foreign nations are getting out of U.S. government debt. This begs the most important question of all. Where in the world is all of that money going? Well, the answer, according to Schectman, is not in paper assets.
It's in something real, something tangible and finite. He claims we are seeing an unprecedented, behind-the-scenes scramble for physical precious metals.
This number right here represents a massive physical withdrawal from the system. According to the data he presents, a record 75 million ounces of physical silver were taken off the market and moved into private vaults in a single recent delivery month. This is an amount that just blows away anything we've ever seen before.
And he says this isn't just random buying. We are witnessing what he calls the great handoff. On one side, you have the banks and financial institutions, and they are getting out of the paper silver game. And on the other, you have these extremely powerful buyers, family offices, sovereign wealth funds, and industrial manufacturers, who aren't playing around with paper contracts. They are demanding and taking physical delivery of the actual, real metal.
And these massive physical demands are causing visible stress in the paper markets, like the COMEX. Schectman interprets what we're seeing as a huge red flag. For instance, an unheard of 526 contracts were left open and undelivered right before a recent deadline. He suggests this indicates that a seller was short on the physical metal they needed to make good on their paper promises. He calls it cracks appearing in the dam. So, this brings us to the crucial point of his whole thesis. If there's such a massive scramble for physical metal, why isn't the price exploding? Schectman's answer is that the paper price you see on your screen is not the real story. He says the price is a tool of misdirection, designed to conceal this enormous physical demand and allow the big players to accumulate at artificially low prices. So let's just quickly recap the warning signs he's laid out. Corporate insiders are selling stocks. The nation's finances are caught in a death spiral of debt. Longtime foreign buyers of that debt are walking away. And all the while, he claims a quiet but massive scramble for physical gold and silver is taking place behind the curtain. All of this really leads to a final critical question. Mr. Schectman argues that the paper price is a distraction from the real action in the physical market. So the question he leaves us with is this: are you watching the right market? So what do you think? Is there a great disconnect between the paper markets and physical reality? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below, and for more insights like this, make sure to subscribe to Cridvia.